It's the whoa, jeez Louise, guys, I'm not in the middle of my Wii sessions. Ugh. I mean, how badly do you guys really want to learn how to analyze your TikTok ads? I mean, understand the data, the KPIs, the metrics. You really want to understand how to react to your data so you can scale your e-commerce brands that badly? Well, if that's the case, then kudos to you. I tip my fedora, and let's get right into it. So first off, how do you even test products with TikTok? Now, for me personally, I always do one campaign, 5 ad groups, $25 a day, not 20, not 30, because for me, when we did $20 budgets, the bare minimum, TikTok tends to not spend that often, so $25 seems to be that golden mark. And then once you set that up, go down to your ad groups. I have my 5 ad groups identical, from always being United States, always doing all broad for the ages and the demographics unless it's specifically for a gender. And then when we scroll on down, I never do interest. I have not done interest in months. For me personally, going broad just works better for my CPMs and my results overall. And then I always will day part from 7 to 11 p.m. So that's pretty much what I like to do. Very simple, lowest cost also. I don't really do cost caps, anything else until I get some purchase data. And then when it comes to the creatives, I usually like to have 3 creatives in each ad group, and it's the exact same creatives. I like to give my creatives 5 chances of being successful compared to only having 1 ad in each ad group. And sure, yes, that ad gets $20 of ad spend, but if that audience sucks and the CPM maybe is inflated, then that ad could be a winner, but it was the audience's fault. So I like to give each creative 5 chances. All right, it's time to get serious. So after you've set up your campaign, you really need to know one important metric. What is your break-even CPA? That is the most important thing that you will be using to analyze all of your ads. And if you're not using that to analyze your ads right now, frankly, I think you're an absolute idiot. So when we go down to this specific brand, we can see that buying one is $34 for this product. And let's say hypothetically it costs $4 to fulfill. So that means our break-even CPA is $30. So if an ad group is under $30, $25, $20, that means you are profitable. And that is the main thing I'm always looking at when evaluating a campaign. So when we go down here and we look at our columns, we can see right here, I got cost, CPC, when the ads were scheduled. All these other things are extraneous. They are not the most important things. So I would get straight into the meat and potatoes whenever analyzing a campaign after a day. And I would say, all right, which one of my ad groups are profitable? Which ones are not? And as we can see right here, this ad group is absolutely going off. 3 complete payments, $8. We are looking good. And this is the most important thing. You should be focusing your attention right in this space. But when we look at the other ad groups, we can see another one is profitable. Perfect. Then when we go to the other 3, I would say, would I turn off something that's not profitable after the first day? Sometimes yes, and that's typically if it has very little add to carts. So from this first one, I would see, okay, this one has 1 add to cart, I'm going to kill it. But this one at the bottom that has 7 add to carts, it just didn't get a purchase because, hey, sometimes it can be unlucky. I would definitely leave it on and see after one more day if it can get a purchase. Now, if it doesn't get a purchase after another day, yes, we're going to turn it off. It's probably just bad traffic. And with this one that has 3 add to carts, I would say in general, usually 3 add to carts will lead to 1 purchase, and that would have made this somewhat profitable. So I actually would have left this on as well. And getting into day 2 of the data, we can see that if we left the bottom one on that had some add to carts, it actually was our best performing ad group on the second day. So for me, yes, if it shows some signs of life, I do let ad groups spend for 2 days. Now, let's say if this campaign after 1 day had no purchases whatsoever, but a ton of add to carts, I'm still going to let it run for another day. I know with TikTok, it sometimes takes an extra day to optimize. It's not as fast as Facebook. Some people need a little bit of time, and with TikTok, it's a brand new platform. It's still figuring out a lot of things, and that's why we like to keep it very broad so that TikTok has a large audience that it can eventually narrow down on. And we can also see on day 2 that our best performing ad group is still performing very well. This one right here is still getting 1 conversion, still a ton of add to carts, but how would I break down this data and try to scale next? Now, when it comes to scaling with TikTok ads, it's really easy to overcomplicate and focus on bid caps and surf scaling and all this crap. But for me, the most consistent way of scaling is just put more money into what's already working. So when we analyze these ad groups and we know that our break-even CPA is $30 and we see that we have multiple ad groups that are all under that break-even CPA, what I would just recommend doing is duplicate one of them into a new campaign,
have 5 copies of that winning ad group, and then just raise the budget to $40 if your original budget was $25. But you can also do $50, you can do $100. It really depends on your budget, but for me personally, what I'll do, depending on budget, is just do $40 with 5 ad groups. So you're spending about $200, and then with that new campaign, you just analyze it after a day, turn off what isn't getting purchases, and then usually you're gonna have 2 out of those 5 ad groups be profitable, and then you can keep leaving those on and keep continuing to scale. But you can also try increasing daily budgets, which this is something we did on this account right here. And what you can do is just do a scheduled budget change, and then usually you have to increase by at least $10. So if we're starting at 25, I would go to 35 and then leave that on for about 2 to 3 days, see if it's still profitable, and if it is, then we can raise it again from 35 to 50, 50 to 75, 75 to 100. But that's pretty much the best way that I scale. It's going to be a combination of duplication and then daily budget increases. Now let's say you are scaling through duplication. You have your winning ad group, you scale it 5 times, $40 a day on each ad group, and this is the data that you get back. I mean, oh god, that is one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen in my life. But it does happen sometimes where you are going to try something out which theoretically should work and it doesn't. So how do you react to the data? Well, personally, what I would do is I would look at your top of funnel metrics. So I would look at things like your ads card, your CPC, see where you're above your typical KPIs. So if I know my average CPC should be around 50 cents and I'm above that, then hey, maybe I should just test some new creatives. Or if my conversion rate's too low, and I believe that was the problem with this campaign right here. We have 28 ads cards, and even if a third convert, that should be 9 to 10. We only had 6 of those convert. So maybe it's a traffic issue, maybe it's a funnel issue, but typically when I see data like that, I'm going to look at my website and I'm probably going to change around some things like my headline, maybe the colors, maybe the offer. It can be the price, it could be the images. There's a lot of things you can split test with your website if you're not hitting your KPIs. But again, that is something you want to look at. And typically I would make changes if you try to do duplication more than one time. So let's say you try 2-3 times of duplicating it 5 times, $40 budgets. The first time it didn't work, okay, then let's try it one more time where we have a new campaign. We just try it again because sometimes campaigns spend wrong. They just don't find the right traffic. So when we try it again, if it doesn't work, then I would say you probably have a problem somewhere around your funnel. But typically when you are scaling through duplication, the first time you try it out, it might not work. So you have to try it 2 times, 3 times before you eventually find those audiences at the higher budgets that are working. Now, if you're analyzing your ad campaigns and you're trying to find ways to make more money, you always want to look at the top of funnel metrics. So let's say I'm looking at this campaign right here. We can see that 3 of our audiences all have purchases. They are profitable. They're doing really well. And then we have 2 here that aren't so profitable. Now, obviously, you're just going to kill what's not working. So you probably kill these middle ones. But what should we do with these other 3? Personally, when I look at these numbers, I'm noticing a big problem here with the CPM. Now, with ads, you typically want to have CPCs of around 50 cents, but that is definitely impacted by what your CPM is. Because if we look here, my CTR on my ads is 2.3%. That means out of 100 people that see my ad, around 2 out of 100 actually click onto my website, which is really solid. If you're above 1.5%, I would say you have a really solid ad. So I know my ad is really good, but the CPM is just dragging it back. So when I react to this, I would probably set up a new campaign where we're going more broad with our audience. Maybe we're just more narrow here. We have only interests, and maybe we're too specific on the age demographics, or we're only female only when we can also be broader and just do all genders. But there has to be a way to make it more broad, because the CPMs should never be at a $22, especially with TikTok. TikTok is known for having cheap CPMs at $3, $5. So if you're having CPM issues, definitely go broader or try your campaign on a different ad account, because there are some ad accounts with TikTok that perform very well and have cheap CPMs and they're just golden goose ad accounts. And then you have some ad accounts that just, man, you really have to try to carry them, like this ad account right here, which sure, it is profitable, but man, if I had a backup ad account where I can just test the exact same creatives, the exact same landers, I'm sure I could scale a lot better just by having normal CPMs. So if you're wondering what's a good CPM to aim for, I would say anything under $10 is pretty good. If you can get that under $5, that's awesome. And it does depend really heavily on your ad account. So I actually typically with our clients at BOD Miami, we have 3 ad accounts where we test products that are exactly the same, have the exact same campaign structure, and we just analyze which ad account is performing the best. And if you are interested in having my team of experts scale a winning product for you to $1 grand a day or more, then all you have to do is book a call down below and we will find winning products for you, create the websites, create the custom ads with our influencer team, and also manage the ads daily for you and do all these methods from surf scaling, bid caps, CBOs, and just doing practical things like duplication to help you scale your first or next winning product. Now, a big reason why people don't see success with dropshipping is they just don't know how to read their numbers. They always give up too easily and they blame the product for everything, and they just say, okay, I got to move on and keep on testing over and over again without really knowing why they're doing that. So let's say I'm testing a product here and my CPC is insanely high. I'm typically aiming for 50 cents. So if I'm at $1 and my CPMs are, let's say, at $5, so really good CPMs, but my CPCs are really high, that's not the product's fault. Typically, it's going to be because you have a bad hook. Maybe you just don't have the right clips that are engaging. Maybe your ad feels too much like an ad. It doesn't have custom content. It doesn't have UGC, actual influencers reviewing your product and saying, this is the greatest thing since sliced toast, and it doesn't feel natural. Or maybe your music is off. There can be so many different things, but if you're just testing a product for 1 or 2 days and the ad performance isn't there, then you should react to that data and say, okay, I need new creatives. I need to find better clips. And even when you find a winning product, you're gonna have to constantly make new creatives because TikTok eats creatives for breakfast. With Facebook, good ad creatives can last months, YouTube, years, but with TikTok, it's gonna be a week, maybe 2 weeks if you're lucky. So you always have to be looking at new ways to create more creative. So you should have a list of different clips that you have from influencers or from the internet if you're dropshipping and trying to just take clips from TikTok or YouTube or wherever, so that you have that all in one folder and you can constantly come up with new combinations of ads. So when I was scaling this waist trainer right here, this is an all new hook. Getting your dream waist has never been easier. So right here, I could change this text to be something else. It could be a different benefit. It could talk about a major problem that my audience has. So, hey, do you have trouble slimming down or shrinking your waistline? That can get people's attention right there. And the hook is the main thing you want to play with. And when I look at other ads that I had different hooks all the time. Like with this ad right here, I have totally different clips. I have different headlines. I have different benefits. So sculpt that sexy hourglass figure you always wanted. That's a completely different hook, and it has a different clip that represents the actual action. And that's what you constantly have to be doing with TikTok. You have to be refreshing it. And sometimes, let's say, I'll stick with this text, but I'll have that other clip that I was using earlier. So you have different combinations, and it doesn't take a whole lot to make a new ad. A lot of times, all you have to do is just swap out one clip. Maybe in the second clip, you'll have a different clip, or you'll have different benefits, or you'll have different music. It really just takes changing one variable for you to have an all new creative, and that is how you keep products going for much longer. If you just try to scale with one ad creative or 2 ad creatives that you initially tested, it's not going to last long. And then right here with this ad, I have a different headline. So lose 2 to 4 inches off your waist in only 30 days. I'm sure all of these have different sort of split tests. Yeah, get your dream waist in only 30 days. And this is all it takes to have an all new creative. And regardless, if you're scaling or if your ad performance isn't where it needs to be, you're going to have to go through this process where you're testing different headlines, testing different benefits, testing different clips, different music over and over and over again. And you're really going to need to have 20, 30, 40, 50 ads when you're scaling with TikTok. And I know it seems like a lot, but if you want to scale, this is just how it is with TikTok.
Now, a big problem a lot of you noobs, you fellow data crunchers that really don't know what you're doing, are going to have is once you set up your new ads, you got them ready to go, you don't really know how to use them. And I'm going to teach you right now what I personally like to do. So when I have new ad creatives, let's say I've made 3 or 4 new ad creatives, what I personally always do is I set up an all new campaign. So I'm clicking create new campaign. I'm doing 5 ad groups, $25 a day. And then I just put all 3 of those new ad creatives inside of there, and I see, hey, are we getting purchases? Are my ad costs down? And if so, then we just follow the exact same process where you turn off the ad groups that are not working, you leave the ones on that are, and then you just duplicate by doing 5 by 40 daily budget, 5 by 75 daily budget. It's the exact same process. You pretty much just reset everything and try again. And that's how you keep on scaling. And then eventually, once you get enough data, you're going to figure out which is your best ad creative. So once you figured that out, personally, I would also recommend scaling by just having your best creative. So as you can see with this campaign right here, this only has 1 ad creative. And yes, you can scale with only 1 ad if you know that creative is performing very well. Like we can see these CTRs are very, very good. So if you're noticing that you have 3 creatives initially and 1 ad creative is doing incredibly well, you can just duplicate, turn off the other 2 ad creatives, and just have that one inside. So that could be another way that you try to scale by doing
5x40, one creative, and it's your best creative. Or if you have two creatives that are performing very well, just have those two creatives when you are scaling through duplication. Now, if you're analyzing your test campaigns and you're realizing, okay, my ads are performing very well, they're above a 1.5% CTR, the CPCs are very low, but I'm getting a lot of add to carts, or I'm not really getting any add to carts at all. What should I do? Well, you have to be able to react to the data and then realize, okay, based on that, I know my ads are doing well, so my problem is the website. So when you are actually making changes to your website, what kind of split test can we really do to make a major difference? Well, the major thing you can do is always changing up your offer, your price, the bundle deals, whatever you're doing. So if I'm selling this product right here, and let's say it cost me $5 and I'm selling it for $34, there's a lot of wiggle room there with margins to do buy one, get one free, to do buy one, get two free. And it depends on the product that you're selling. So this is a crystal hair eraser. So I can definitely see people buying two of these. Maybe you give one to your mom or your friend or your sister so you can try it out. So I can definitely see if the main offer we have here is just, okay, it's 15% off, it's 20% off if you buy one. That might not be the best offer in the world. So with this brand, then I would recommend trying the BOGO offer, or trying something with the price where maybe instead of $34, we do $29, or maybe we try $37. You can raise and lower your price and get totally drastically different conversion rates, but you need to know how to analyze these tests when you are actually doing them. And that's why I always use an A/B testing calculator like the one from SurveyMonkey. So let's say, for instance, we get 1,000 website visitors on our first offer of $34 for this razor. And from those 1,000 visitors, let's say 20 of them actually convert into a purchase. So we'll do 20 just like that. And then our first split test is we try 34 and we go it down to $29 for the price. So we get another 1,000 visitors, and let's say from there, we get about 32 conversions. So if that's the case, we can calculate 90% confidence, and we can see that variant B's conversion rate was higher, and that is statistically significant. Now, if we only get, let's say, 22 conversions, slightly more, then you know that the price difference really didn't affect anything. In fact, the data is very negligible. But when you are doing split tests like that with price, you also have to keep in mind, you can get more conversions but still make less money because, hey, you're pricing it for $5 less. So you also need to know, hey, what is my AOV like? If it's going down and my conversion rate is slightly up, then you need to know, am I really making more money, or is it just my conversion rate up? So in that instance where we're lowering our price by around 16%, we need to expect our conversion rate to go up by at least 16% if we are going to make more money. So you just have to calculate how much money are you typically losing and how much money do we have to make back through our conversion rate. And I know it can be a little bit confusing, but that's pretty much how you have to analyze things. Now, other changes you can make to your website if you're noticing it's not converting where you need it to be, and typically a good conversion rate is around 2%, 2.5%. If you're above that, that's really good, but there's always ways you can improve. The split tests I personally like to do are always going to be first off the offer. So yeah, trying a different offer structure, whether it's BOGO, buy one, get two free, but you can also try things like having more social proof. So for every website we build at my agency, we always like to have social proof pretty much at the very top. So we can see right here, this before and after, this razor effect, pretty cool. We got more before and afters of all of these very happy customers, and we got good testimonials right here with the name of the product showing that, hey, this actually does work. It gets me the benefit that they promised, because social proof is so freaking important. You should have it everywhere. It shouldn't just be in a dedicated section at the bottom of your product pages, and that's what everyone does. They have it at the bottom, but if you have it near the top, a lot of the times that grasps people's attention. That can really get them to think, oh my God, this product really does work. Now, other split tests that you can do is trying shorter descriptions. You can try having different headlines. So maybe this headline right here that we have, hair removal just got a whole lot easier. Maybe it's better as a second or a third headline. And the best headline at the top, which is the most important headline, is wave goodbye to all your unwanted hair problems. So sometimes you have to split test different headlines, different prices, having urgency, having a call to action at the end. As we can see with this website, we actually don't really have much of a call to action. But we do have things like be hair free or get your money back. So that's really important. Having good graphics. I mean, look at how great these graphics are. Comparing it to others out there, other razor products, how we're painless, reusable, time effective. Having GIFs of the product in action so people can really imagine what it's like to use use it, and having great images as well. That's another great thing. If you can find better images with your customers actually using the product, that's going to make a huge difference on your conversion rate. And then the final things you can do with your website is obviously make sure that it's mobile friendly, because when you do these previews from computers, I know they look pretty and sometimes you're like, all right, this is exactly how it's going to look. It never will look exactly like the preview on the computer. It never does. It's very deceiving. So always go onto your phone, go into your website, go through what the customer would go through their shoes, and really ask yourself, what looks sus? What looks like it can be improved upon? What designs are not as good as they really should be? And that way you can really self-analyze and understand, all right, here's where I can improve. Then obviously speed score is important too, so you should know what your speed score is. There are ways of optimizing it by compressing your images, by making sure you're not using too many apps, trying to delete unwanted code, having a speed expert from Fiverr go onto your theme, delete any extraneous code, or probably not using as many GIFs as this website. I know we have 2 GIFs here, which isn't really that bad, but sometimes GIFs can take up a lot of space and that slows down your website. Now, when you are scaling your ads through duplication, you can definitely narrow down your audience and try to segment it to figure out which pockets are getting you the best return on your ad spend. So if I was going onto TikTok ads right here, I can see this audience. I click view data, go onto audience, and then go to conversions. And through here, sometimes TikTok will have all the data, sometimes it won't, but you can see typically where you're getting the best return on ad spend. So we can see right here, 25 through 34. My complete payment, $46. Jeez Louise, that is not ideal. And if we scroll to the right, we can see the number of complete purchases. So we have 3 purchases from 35 to 44. $10. That is 4 times cheaper. So when I'm scaling these audiences, a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll just keep the same settings and they might have all ages, but you could make more money if you just look at the data, look at the ages, look at the genders, break them down, and figure out which pockets of space you should really be scaling. So from this one right here, I probably would just do 35 through 44 or do 35 and up. And then the final thing, if you are having TikTok ad spending issues, which I know are rampant right now, everyone's dealing with them. In fact, I would say at BOD Miami, we have about 20% of our campaigns that are still dealing with spending issues, even though we've had agency accounts. So it's something you're going to have to learn to solve. Personally, what we like to do is if we have a campaign set up with 5 ad groups, $25 a day, and after the first day it's not spending at all, we usually will wait 24 hours and see if on that second day it will spend money, because a lot of times it actually does just by being patient. Now, if it isn't spending after that second day, the next thing we do is we turn off that campaign, we recreate it, have 5 ad groups, $25 a day on purchase, and then we'll have 2 other audiences that are view content and add to cart. So we have those, and typically when those are spending, those top of funnel event ad groups, that helps the whole campaign actually spend money. It's kind of like a bandwagon effect where the view content is spending money, so the purchase gets a little bit jealous and it starts spending as well. Now, other things you can do is have multiple ad accounts. This is something we've been testing a lot at BOD Miami. We'll have multiple ad accounts. We'll set up the same campaign for the same product, and we'll just see which ad account actually spends the full budget. And I know it seems kind of ridiculous, but with some ad accounts, they just don't spend money. Even if the product is completely compliant, your ads are compliant, everything is good, they just don't spend money. And some ad accounts do spend money and the CPMs are very low. So sometimes you have to split test ad accounts just to get something that works.